October 29, 2012, a date etched in the memories of millions along the eastern seaboard, a day that would forever change their lives. It was the day Superstorm Sandy, a tempest of unprecedented fury, slammed into the coast, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. The sheer power and scale of the storm were unlike anything seen before. From the Carolinas to Maine, communities found themselves grappling with the raw power of nature's wrath. People boarded up windows, stocked up on supplies and hoped for the best, but nothing could truly prepare them for what was to come. Sandy was no ordinary storm. It was a behemoth, a force of nature that defied expectations and shattered records. It was a meteorological anomaly, a rare hybrid of hurricane and winter storm, its massive size and slow crawl amplifying its destructive potential. Meteorologists watched in awe and horror as Sandy's path became clear. As darkness descended, the full force of Sandy was unleashed. The night was filled with the sounds of howling winds and crashing waves, a symphony of destruction. Winds howled, rain lashed down in torrents, and the ocean surged onto land, swallowing homes, businesses, and entire neighborhoods. The relentless force of the storm seemed almost apocalyptic. The storm surge, a wall of water driven by the hurricane's force, reached unprecedented heights, inundating coastal areas with terrifying speed. Entire communities were submerged in a matter of minutes. New York City, the nation's most populous city, found itself directly in Sandy's crosshairs. The city that never sleeps was brought to a standstill, iconic landmarks disappeared beneath the waves, and the city that never sleeps was plunged into an eerie darkness. The power outages left millions in the dark, both literally and figuratively. The storm's impact was immediate and devastating. Emergency responders worked tirelessly, but the scale of the disaster was overwhelming. Millions were left without power, transportation systems ground to a halt, and the stench of seawater and sewage filled the air. The city's infrastructure was crippled. The images of destruction were seared into the national consciousness. Flooded subway tunnels, collapsed buildings, and debris-strewn streets. The scenes were reminiscent of a disaster movie, but this was all too real. In the storm's aftermath, a sense of disbelief hung heavy in the air. People wandered through the wreckage, trying to comprehend the magnitude of what had happened. How could a storm of such magnitude strike one of the most developed nations on Earth? The question lingered as the reality of the situation set in. As the floodwaters receded and the cleanup began, the true extent of Sandy's devastation became horrifyingly clear. The task ahead was daunting. Homes were reduced to rubble, businesses were destroyed, and lives were lost. The physical and emotional toll was immense. The storm had not only ravaged the physical landscape, but it also left an indelible mark on the lives of millions. The emotional scars would take much longer to heal. In the face of such widespread destruction, the resilience of the human spirit shone through. Communities came together in ways that were both heartwarming and inspiring. Neighbors helped neighbors, strangers offered aid and comfort, and a collective determination to rebuild took hold. The spirit of unity and cooperation was a beacon of hope. Superstorm Sandy was a stark reminder of nature's power and the importance of preparedness. It underscored the need for better infrastructure and emergency planning, but it also revealed the strength and resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Together, people began the long and arduous journey of recovery, determined to rebuild and emerge stronger than before. Superstorm Sandy's impact on the East Coast's infrastructure was swift and brutal. The storm's ferocity was unlike anything the region had seen in decades, leaving a path of destruction in its wake. The storm surge, reaching unprecedented heights, overwhelmed coastal defenses, turning streets into rivers and tunnels into raging torrents. The sheer volume of water was unimaginable, submerging entire neighborhoods and making rescue operations perilous. Transportation systems, the lifeblood of the region, ground to a halt. Trains were halted and railway stations stood eerily empty, their tracks submerged under feet of water. New York City's subway system, a labyrinth of tunnels beneath the city, was inundated with seawater, crippling the commute of millions. The flooding of these tunnels not only disrupted daily life, but also posed significant challenges for the city's recovery efforts. Airports were shut down, stranding travelers and disrupting supply chains. The closure of major airports had a ripple effect, affecting flights and cargo shipments across the country. The storm's fury did not discriminate, affecting both urban centers and rural communities. From towering skyscrapers to humble farmhouses, no structure was spared from Sandy's wrath. power outages, affecting millions, plunged homes and businesses into darkness. The loss of electricity was more than an inconvenience. It was a crisis that affected every aspect of daily life. The lack of electricity brought with it a cascade of problems, disrupting communication networks, halting business operations, and leaving residents without heating, refrigeration, or access to essential information. The blackout underscored the fragility of modern infrastructure in the face of natural disasters. Hospitals, relying on backup generators, struggled to cope with the influx of patients injured during the storm or suffering from pre-existing conditions exacerbated by the lack of power. Medical staff worked tirelessly under challenging conditions, showcasing their resilience and dedication. The fragility of the region's infrastructure was laid bare, exposing vulnerabilities that had long been ignored. The storm served as a wake-up call, highlighting the urgent need for investment in resilient infrastructure. Coastal areas bore the brunt of Sandy's wrath. The relentless waves and high winds left a trail of devastation that would take years to repair. Boardwalks, piers, and seaside communities were battered by the relentless waves, leaving behind a trail of splintered wood, twisted metal, and shattered dreams. The iconic landmarks that once drew tourists were now scenes of desolation. The Jersey Shore, a beloved summer destination, was scarred with damaged amusement parks, flooded casinos, and homes reduced to rubble. The economic impact on these communities was profound, affecting livelihoods and local economies. The storm surge eroded beaches, toppled lighthouses, and reshaped the coastline in a matter of hours. The natural landscape was forever altered, with some areas unrecognizable from their pre-storm state. The damage to infrastructure extended far beyond the immediate coast. Inland areas often considered safe from such storms were not spared. Inland areas experienced widespread flooding from overflowing rivers and streams swollen by torrential rain. The relentless downpour turned fields into lakes and streets into canals. Roads were washed out, bridges collapsed, and homes were inundated with water. The destruction of critical infrastructure made recovery efforts even more challenging. The storm's reach was far and wide, leaving communities large and small grappling with the task of rebuilding their shattered infrastructure. The road to recovery would be long and arduous, requiring resilience, resources, and a collective effort to restore what was lost. As the floodwaters receded and the cleanup began, the true cost of Superstorm Sandy's devastation came into focus. The numbers were staggering, totaling billions of dollars in damages, making it one of the costliest natural disasters in U.S. history. The economic impact was felt across multiple sectors, from tourism and hospitality to real estate and infrastructure. Businesses, large and small, were forced to close their doors, some permanently, resulting in lost revenue, layoffs, and a ripple effect throughout the economy. The tourism industry, a vital part of the East Coast economy, suffered a significant blow. Beaches were closed, boardwalks were destroyed, and iconic landmarks were damaged, deterring visitors and impacting local businesses. The Jersey Shore, heavily reliant on summer tourism, faced a long and arduous recovery process. Hotels, restaurants, and shops that had weathered previous storms found themselves facing an uncertain future. The cost of rebuilding damaged infrastructure was astronomical. Roads, bridges, tunnels, and subway systems needed extensive repairs. Power grids, crippled by the storm, required upgrades to improve resilience against future events. Coastal defenses, overwhelmed by Sandy's surge, needed to be strengthened to withstand the increasing threat of extreme weather. The sheer scale of the reconstruction effort presented a daunting challenge for governments, businesses, and communities alike. The economic impact of Superstorm Sandy extended far beyond the immediate aftermath. The storm exposed vulnerabilities in infrastructure, supply chains, and disaster preparedness, prompting a reevaluation of building codes, insurance policies, and emergency response plans. The long-term costs, including lost productivity, business closures, and the human toll of displacement and economic hardship, continued to be felt for years to come. Superstorm Sandy's impact extended far beyond the physical damage, upending the daily lives of millions along the East Coast. The storm's ferocity left a lasting mark on communities, altering the way people lived, worked, and interacted with one another. The loss of power for many was not a mere inconvenience but a life-altering event. It forced families to adapt to a new reality, one where the comforts of modern life were stripped away. Days turned into weeks without electricity, plunging homes into darkness, disrupting routines, and testing the limits of patience and resilience. The struggle to stay warm and fed became a daily challenge, with families relying on gas stoves and outdoor grills to prepare meals. The hum of refrigerators, the glow of televisions, and the ease of charging phones, taken for granted conveniences, were gone, replaced by the eerie silence of powerless homes. Spoiled food and the inability to preserve perishables added to the stress. The closure of schools disrupted education, forcing students to adapt to online learning or make up for lost time. Parents had to step into the role of educators, balancing their own work with the demands of homeschooling. Parents, juggling work responsibilities with childcare, faced added stress and uncertainty. The blurred lines between work and home life created a challenging environment for productivity and family harmony. The lack of power made it difficult to stay informed, connect with loved ones, or seek assistance, heightening feelings of isolation and anxiety. Battery-powered radios became lifelines, providing crucial updates and a sense of connection to the outside world. The storm's aftermath brought with it a new set of challenges. Flooded streets and damaged homes required extensive cleanup efforts, with communities coming together to support one another. Long lines snaked around gas stations as residents waited patiently, sometimes for hours, to fill up their cars and generators. The scarcity of fuel added another layer of difficulty to an already dire situation. Supermarkets, struggling to replenish empty shelves, rationed essential items, leading to frustration and a scramble for basic necessities. The sight of empty shelves was a stark reminder of the storm's widespread impact. The disruption to supply chains was felt acutely, reminding people of the interconnectedness of modern life and the fragility of the systems we rely on. Food distribution centers became vital hubs for those in need. The storm's impact on mental health was profound. The emotional toll of the disaster was evident as people sought support from counselors and leaned on each other for comfort. The trauma of the event, the loss of homes and possessions, the displacement from communities, and the stress of rebuilding lives took a toll on the emotional well-being of individuals and families. Community centers played a crucial role in providing aid and a sense of normalcy. The invisible scars of Sandy, the anxiety, depression, and PTSD, lingered long after the floodwaters receded and the power was restored. The journey to recovery was not just about rebuilding homes, but also about healing hearts and minds. What do you remember most about Superstorm Sandy? Share your stories in the comments below, and let's discuss how this event changed the way we prepare for natural disasters.